myself, I filled it in. No time for that doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse, mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like Toby, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, build the win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win, yeah. Refuse to lose, I built the win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counted me out, I'm getting it in, yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win, yeah. Refuse.
Welcome back to CTC. I'm your gracious host, Carl, and I'm back with another episode. And today, we are going to be recapping, the final week of the college football bowl week 3. All the bowl games have been completed. As you can see, my final bowl record is 22-13, which, hey man, I'll take it. CFP record, not the greatest, 4-4. Got some upsets. We'll be covering those games as well, recapping those games as well. But all the bowl games are done. We just have the college football playoffs left. We got 2 games, one Thursday, one Friday. I will be live talking about that with Ace Thursday at 5 o'clock. And then we got the championship game the Monday after that. So, not the Monday after that, a week and a half after that. So, that's what we're going to be doing. But before I get into it, I also want to say this. Kansas TCU, because I do cover college basketball, is currently still going in overtime. TCU blew a 14-point lead, had the ball with 6 seconds left, up 3, threw the ball away. Then with Badunga having the ball, didn't foul him, accidentally fouled Peterson shooting a 3, and that forced overtime. And now TCU's down 3. Just fouled Kansas for 125. So if you see me looking to the side, I am watching Kansas versus TCU. But without further ado, let's get into these recaps, and we're going to start with the game that happened on that Monday, which was Georgia Southern versus Appalachian State in the Birmingham Bowl, which I did pick Georgia Southern to win. This was a rematch of a Sun Belt game earlier in the year, which Georgia Southern won by 2. Shout out to you. How you doing? Appreciate you stopping by on the pod. But yeah, man, we had a rematch. Georgia Southern did win the rematch 29-10. And the name of this game was turnovers, man. A lot of interceptions, a lot of turnovers for the Appalachian State Mountaineers. They had 4 interceptions in this game total. So, like I said, the name of this game was just interceptions. Georgia Southern did score first. They scored a touchdown first. They were up 10-7 at halftime. Appalachian State, scored a touchdown before the half. But then Georgia State would start the second half with 2 back-to-back touchdowns, and they held Appalachian State to 3 points in the second half. They went up as much as, I believe, 26-7. But yeah, just dominant second half by Georgia Southern. First half was a little iffy for sure. Like I said, the interceptions for Appalachian State did not help in the pursuit of a comeback, but Georgia Southern just really dominated the second half of this game. This first half, pretty much back and forth. App State would just hurt themselves. Georgia Southern hurt themselves too. I think App State missed a field goal. I believe both teams missed a field goal, but second half, man, what dominance by Georgia Southern. And I'm doing well, man. I'm having a great night. Hopefully you enjoy the content. Hopefully you have a great night as well. But we'll move on to Coastal Carolina and Louisiana Tech in the Independence Bowl. That was Tuesday, the day after. And this was another close game. Actually, Coastal was winning 14-3 a lot of this game. Coastal was actually dominating this game from the first half, but then Louisiana Tech kind of figured it out. Coastal, I believe, got shut out in the second half, and Louisiana Tech rattled off, I want to say, 20 straight, but at one point it was 14-6, and then they scored touchdowns. Coastal offense was getting going. Tad Hudson actually didn't look that bad. Now, later in the game, he kind of looked a little bit – it looked kind of like he got back to reality a little bit. But Tad Hudson, for the most part, didn't look that bad. Trey Kukoc, it felt like the first half he was rattled a little bit. He was struggling, missing throws. But second half, he kind of got in the rhythm. Was able to run the ball, throw the ball a lot better, and they just figured something out in the second half for Louisiana Tech. Like I said, they shut out Coastal in the second half. They scored 17 of their 23 points in the fourth quarter, down 14-6 to win the game. So really, it was that fourth quarter, but that first half was a little bit of a doozy for for Louisiana Tech. I did pick Louisiana Tech ultimately to win this game, but shout out to Coastal for fighting. First half, it looked promising. Second half, really fourth quarter, Louisiana Tech took over. And we'll move on to the Citrus Bowl. No, excuse me, Music City Bowl. Illinois played in the Citrus Bowl last year. That's why I got confused. But, that's why I got mixed up. But Tennessee, I have told y'all all year, Tennessee had no good wins. And guess how they finished? With no good wins. As TCU just hit a crazy 3 to go down 2 with 34 seconds left. But they finished the year with no good wins. Illinois wins this almost called the Citrus Bowl again. Music City Bowl 30-28 with a walk-off field goal. Now, this game was pretty back and forth. Can't lie. It was definitely a back and forth affair. At one point, Illinois went up 27-21. And as soon as Illinois went up 27-21, Tennessee returns a kickoff to the crib, going up 28-27. But Illinois would convert third down after third down and ice the rest of the game to kick the game-winning field goal to win 30-28. Illinois, like I said, they were trading touchdowns, trading scores. Now, the difference was when Illinois scored to go up 24-21 and got a stop, they did not get another touchdown to go up 10. They got a field goal, which led to the kickoff return, which led to Illinois kicking the game-winning field goal. But absolutely a back-and-forth affair. But like I said, man, Tennessee, no good wins on the year, and that's why I picked Illinois to win, and Illinois got it done. Illinois showed again that they were more battle-tested, and shout out to them for winning the Music City Bowl. Shout out to them. I believe they got 10 wins on the year, or maybe 9, but either way, I told y'all, Tennessee the resume just was not good this year. And we'll move on to the Alamo Bowl, which this was an upset. This prevented me from having a perfect 4-0 start to bowl season, week 3. TCU with a crazy play by Jeremy Payne to win it in overtime. Now, shout out to Nuke Hines. He is on amazing performances. He had a crazy day. But Jaden Richardson had a crazy one-hand catch to go up 21-14. This was also a pretty much back-and-forth affair. Jaden Maava uncharacteristically had 2 interceptions in this game. King Miller had a good game. Like I said, Nuke Hines, shout out to him. Had a phenomenal game. But shout out TCU's quarterback, and I'm blanking on his name right now. Ken Seals, I think. He actually had a good game. To be honest, I seen some promise in him for what he did. Like, he was able to use his legs. He made timely passes. Like, I see something in Ken Seals. So shout out to him. He had a good game. But ultimately, USC kicked the field goal in overtime. After going up 24-14, TCU rallies back to tie the game to put in the overtime. They kick a field goal. They knock it down for USC. Then TCU gets backed up to a 3rd and 20, and they throw a check down to Jeremy Payne. And I'm like, all right, cool. At max, this might be a 5-yard game. The cavalry was there. I just make a tackle. 4th down. They got to kick a pretty long field goal. Maybe you win. Maybe go to double overtime with TCU offense is right back on the field. And the next thing I know, I just see him running down the sideline for a touchdown. I'm like, oh, dang. I'm like, oh, he just gamed him, da-da-da. Then I thought, hey, maybe he stepped out of bounds. Barely did not step out of bounds. And then after that, it was all she wrote. Like I said, he went down the sideline, scored a touchdown. So shout out TCU getting an upset bowl win against Lincoln Riley and USC. Now, I did say that USC be having receivers in the cut. Jaden Richardson, Tanuke Hines. Future looks good with them, with Maava, King Miller, Wayman Jordan possibly coming back. And they just got Terrell Anderson from NC State. So, but great bowl win by TCU. And we'll move on to the Wednesday games. And we start with the ReliaQuest Bowl of Iowa upsetting Vanderbilt 34-27. And may I say that this game, Iowa dominated. I know you're going to say, Carl, it was a 7-point win. How they dominate? Iowa went up as much as 21-3. That whole first half, Vanderbilt could not figure out how to score. It was 21-3 in the third. Then Vanderbilt made a push late. Oh, another 3 by TCU cuts it to 2. Vanderbilt put how you doing? Appreciate you coming through. But Vanderbilt, they made a run late, but every time they would get within 7 points, Iowa would just make a score a touchdown, keep them at arm's length. So this game really wasn't close in my opinion. Iowa just pretty much dominated. And I will say the SEC, I mean, 2 of your bowl wins, including the playoffs, are because you played against each other. Oklahoma, Alabama, you played against each other. Ole Miss, Georgia, you played against each other. That's 2 of your bowl wins right there. Other than that, what's your other bowl win? Tennessee lost. Vanderbilt lost. Then Alabama played a Big Ten school. They lost. I mean, Georgia had a bye week. I mean, like, Texas, we'll talk about that later. Texas beat Michigan. So shout out to them. Hit well paid for. So there go one. Texas, Mississippi State. We'll talk about them. They lost to Wake Forest. It's just, boy, the SEC struggled in bowl week. And I am a guy who thinks the SEC is the best. Well, my opinion could change, but in the past, I have thought the SEC is the best conference in the college football game. But I was never too like those fans are a little snobbish. They're the what if, the hypothetical undefeated teams. Oh, if this team would have played Bama, they're the what if champs, the what if bowl champs. And I just feel like this bowl season should have knocked them down a peg. So shout out to Iowa for the win. Sucks that Vandy couldn't get that 11-win season. I was actually picked them to win, and they lost. But it's a great win for Iowa. We move on to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, which Kansas, by the way, wins in overtime 104-100. So shout out to them. But the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, which it was a very explosive offensive game. Arizona State, Jeff Sims, I told y'all, turnover machine. Now, I'm not going to say he had endless turnovers because that would be a lie. But when the rubber needed to meet the road, down 42-39, Jeff Sims threw a pick. Now, this game was also very much back and forth. Arizona State struck first. Then Duke went up. Then Arizona State came back and they went up. Then Duke went up as much as 11. Then Arizona State comes back. They make it a 39, 39-35 ball game. Then Duke scores Keyshawn Brown, but Keyshawn Brown had a day for the Duke Blue Devils. He scores the go-ahead touchdown. Then Arizona State gets the ball back, and that's when Jeff Sims throws the pick. But very back and forth game. These offenses went crazy. Defenses stops were tough. But ultimately, Darian Mensah and the Blue Devils pulled it out. They were ACC champs, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl champs. It's probably one of the best Duke football seasons, maybe ever. Now, granted, that's, they probably had some crazy years back in the 50s, 40s, whatever, and that I'm not remembering, but don't know of. But as of recent memory, it's one of the best Duke seasons I've ever seen in college football. So shout out Manny Diaz and the Duke Blue Devils for a big bowl game win. As for Arizona State, Jeff Sims, is unfortunate that you kind of go out with the turnover, but it's kind of what you do, brother. I'm sorry. But we'll move on to the Citrus Bowl, where Texas beats Michigan 41-27. By the way, I did pick Duke to win the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. And I did pick Texas to beat Michigan, even though they had all those opt-outs in the Citrus Bowl. And I want to say this. Arch Manning in this game balled. He looked like the Arch Manning that we thought we may see in the beginning of the season. And that's why you don't just write somebody off when their first year starting and they don't look as good when they start off. Because this is their first year and they're just starting. I mean, yeah, you want them to hit the ground running, but you have to understand that it's okay if they don't hit the ground running. And so that's what I feel like my opinion was on Arch. Like, yeah, he didn't come out the gate swinging like, and me, myself, I wanted to see as well, but I didn't write him off. I didn't think, oh, he trash. A lot of people, oh, he trash. They started to go back to, oh, look who he's playing in high school. Of course he looked good. No, give him a chance to develop. The word develop don't really... it don't exist anymore, in my opinion. It's like it's either you come out hot or you suck. He came out, didn't look so great, but over the weeks he developed, and now he looks good. And I'm really interested to see what his senior year look like. And to me, that's why probably his father and his family came out and said, no matter what, he's coming back his senior year, because they all probably felt, including himself, that he needed to develop. So I want to say that now Texas won because Michigan, Bryce Underwood threw 3 interceptions in the second half. I want to say they came back to back to back, but I don't think that's quite how it happened. But Bryce Underwood threw three interceptions in the second half. And that's why Texas was able to come back and win as well. Now, Arch Manning had that long game-breaking run also, but those interceptions did not help Michigan. Your offense is already, I don't want to say anemic, but I'll say anemic for lack of a better terms. You can't put yourselves in a hole like that if you're Michigan with those interceptions. And that was the reason why Texas scored 24 points in the second half as opposed to Michigan, who scored 10. It was tied 17-17 at halftime. And like I said, ultimately, those 3 interceptions were cost Michigan the game as Texas wins the Citrus Bowl. Now we'll move on to the Las Vegas Bowl, which I picked Nebraska to lose to Utah because I did pick Utah to win. I don't know why I worded it like that, but I did pick Utah to win. And they won. Now, I'm not going to lie. Nebraska came out hot, scored 2 touchdowns in their first 2 drives. It was like 14-7. I'm like, what is going on with this Utah defense? Nebraska offense is not this good, and they don't even have Emmett Johnson. What's going on? But then Utah finally showed up, and they rattled at 14-7. They rattled off 37 straight points. Nebraska scored a touchdown, a 2-point conversion at the end of the game to make it look a little better. But Utah rattled off 37 straight points to finish the game 44-22. Dominant victory after that 14-7 start. I just felt like Utah's defense needed to settle in. Devin Dampier and them needed to settle in. And once that happened, it was game over from there. So shout out Utah for a great season. They finished the year 11-2. So it's one of the best seasons I've seen since that Rose Bowl year with why am I blanking on his name? The quarterback that medically retired, Cam Rising. So it's been one of the best years since Cam Rising. Whittingham, whatever. I'll just save that to myself. Now we'll move on to the college football playoffs because we had one game on that Wednesday night, and we had the Hurricanes upsetting Ohio State as 9.5-point dogs. I did pick Ohio State to win, but I did tell y'all 9.5 points was way too many points. So if you took the points, like I said, shout out to you. But man, what a difference Keontae Scott makes. Now, I will say the reason why he got that pick 6 is because Jeremiah Smith did not block. That was such a lazy attempt on the block. Ran right past him, caught the pick 6. But Miami first half looked better than Ohio State. They were moving the ball. It's just Miami fumbled, and Ohio State recovered. They were moving the ball better. Miami was playing in Ohio State's backfield. Shout out Ruben Bain in the D-line. I forget the other guy's name. I feel so bad because he's such a good talent. I just forget his name at the moment. But he plays opposite of Ruben Bain, so somebody in the comments can let me know. But they were playing in Ohio State's backfield, and they were putting pressure on Julian Sand, and they Ohio State was able to run a little bit, but like I told Ace, man, their run defense is nothing to sniff at. So defense prevailed first half. They went up 14-0 at halftime with the pick 6. Now Ohio State would come back to make it 17-14 and make it a ball game again, but ultimately Ohio State got the ball back and couldn't really do nothing with it. And they forced to punt the ball back to Miami, and Miami went on a nice long touchdown drive to make it a 2-possession game with very minimum time left. Miami then catches the interception at the end of the game to ice it. Now, I will say I thought Ohio State let Miami score just to try to have some time back, and it hurt them. I feel like they were in a lose-lose regardless, so they tried to just go with having more time, and they threw a pick anyway. But this was a great game by Miami, and this just shows how dominant Miami defense can be when they have a lot of their pieces. Now, I want to say O.J. Frederick, he might be out for this game coming up, but Jacoby Thomas was striking. Keontae Scott, huge pick. Ruben Bain and them was playing in their backfield. This defense, man, is something. I think Corey Heatherman just, hey, I know I'm talking about Jim Knowles a lot as a D coordinator. Corey Heatherman might need to be up there with Jim Knowles and Matt Patricia as a D coordinator because Corey Heatherman changed his lives as a DC. So shout out Corey Heatherman, DC of the Miami Hurricanes. And shout out the Hurricanes as they advance. Now we move on to Thursday quarterfinal games. And we had a shutout. I picked Texas Tech to win. Oregon says, shut up, Carl. And shut out Texas Tech 23-0. And I even said that this Oregon defense can be leaky. And it can, but not Will Hammond, Jesus. I'm blanking on his name. Baron Morton just looked awful in this game. And part of that is in due part to the Oregon defense. I have to give the Oregon defense credit. They made Baron Morton look bad. They stopped the run and said, Baron Morton, no, you're going to have to beat us. And Baron Morton could not get it done. Now, midway through the third quarter, I did say that they do need to bench him and bring in Will Hammond, or else it's going to be ugly. And it was ugly. And I will say this, for anybody that gets mad at Oregon scoring that last touchdown on 4th and goal at the 1, blame Texas Tech. They called the timeout down 16-0 with Oregon having the ball 1st and goal when Oregon could have just ran the clock out, and they decided to call timeout, which made them have to run a play on 4th and 1. So that's on Texas Tech. They could have just let Oregon run the clock out, lose 16-0, but they didn't. They wanted to be stubborn, so that's on them. But I say that to say shout out Brandon Finney Jr., who is on the major performances with 2 interceptions. Ben Roberts, my X factor for Texas Tech, did have an interception, but Texas Tech couldn't really get it done because Baron Morton couldn't get it done. There were times that they moved a little bit and stalled out because, again, Oregon was not allowing them to run the football at all. And so shout out to Oregon defense for a major performance as a defense. Shout out to Oregon just getting enough done. And what was the huge game changer was that strip sack fumble. He just took the ball to Baron Morton's hands in the third quarter. It was the second drive of the third quarter. Got him down to the 6 and didn't know if Whittington would finish the job off with a touchdown run. But at that point, it was 6-0 at halftime, 6-0 in the third quarter. And that fumble called the strip basically in the third quarter was huge for Oregon as they gave him really their only, I won't say non-garbage time touchdown, but Texas Tech defense played well enough to win that game. The offense just let them down, really Baron Morton. But we'll move on to a blowout. Not a shutout, but a blowout. This Kurt Cignetti does it again. And if you haven't seen my short, I'll repeat it. Kurt Cignetti, at his 2 years of Indiana, has not lost to any team not playing for the national championship. Well, Carl, this season's still going on. If he does lose to Oregon this week, Oregon will be playing for the national championship. This is the semifinals. So if, and that's a big if, because I'm not going to tell y'all who I got winning. If Indiana loses to Oregon this week, he will be, which is right now, 14-0. And last year he went 11-2. He'd be 25-3, with his only 3 losses being to teams that play for the national championship at Indiana, which is insane. But let's talk about this game. I'm going to keep it very brief. Alabama got punished. They got smacked. They couldn't run the ball. They had 23 rushing yards. They were 3-11 on third down while Indiana was 9-14. Get well soon. Ty Simpson did get hurt. He actually got the same injury as Lamar Jackson, funny enough. And I only say funny enough because I'm a Ravens fan. But he got hurt. He had to leave the game. But Indiana was already dominating at that point. Indiana went up 17-0 at halftime. Charlie Becker, I'm big play Becker at this point. He made big plays. Obviously, Roman Hemby got it done on the ground. I want to say Elijah Surratt had a nice touchdown or a nice block. I can't remember. But then they come out to start the second half. They score again, 24-0. And at that point, it was just all over. Just jumped out on them. I will say it took Indiana offense a while. But once they got settled in, it was a wrap. It was just a wrap. And plus, that defense was on the field for a while. So shout out to Indiana. They won 38-3. Blew out Bama. And they'll move on to the semifinals where they face Oregon. And the last game was probably one of the best games of this week. Georgia gets upset by Ole Miss, including myself. I picked Georgia to win. 39-34. Shout out Joe. He called me before the game. It's like, why y'all think Ole Miss don't have a chance? And I'm like, because Lane Kiffin's not there. He's really that play caller. Like, and then the defense, I don't know. The defense last time, they didn't even force a punt. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to force a punt this time, but I don't know if I can trust this defense against Georgia the way they've been rolling lately. And he's like, well, I think Ole Miss got a shot. I'm like, all right, we'll see. And Ole Miss won. So shout out Joe. Shout out Trinidad Chambliss doing some NCAA Madden stuff that will make you throw your controller through your TV. Georgia went up 21-12 at halftime. And at half, I'm like, all right, well, let's see how Ole Miss come out. Because the game is kind of going how everybody thought it would go. Like, Ole Miss would be competitive in the first half. And second half, Georgia might just pull away and it'd be over. But at least Ole Miss, no head coach, stuff like that. They fought. Incorrect. Second half, Ole Miss come out, score 2 touchdowns, go up 27-24. They were at one point held Georgia to 3 points throughout majority of the second half. Trinidad Champions, like I said, was just rolling, extending plays, attacking downfield, throwing on the money. Gunnar Stockton would try to pull out a superhero cape as well, but he would fall short a little bit. Then so Ole Miss goes up 10. I want to say Ole Miss goes up 10 at one point. Yeah, they go up 10, but then Georgia will go down and score a touchdown and a field goal to tie it. But on 3rd and 10, where it looked like Georgia might force a 3-and-out and have a chance, Dejon Stribling, my X factor for Ole Miss, breaks wide open for a huge gain, gets them in field goal range. They knock down a field goal with 6 seconds left. And we're all thinking it's over, right? Like, yeah, there's no way Georgia has a chance. And we would be right, but it wouldn't be over as we thought. So Georgia, they kick the ball short to try to make Georgia return it and kill some clock. But Georgia executes one of the worst throwbacks I've ever seen. That resulted in a safety, but they put 1 second on the clock. So Georgia has to kick it. They kick the onside. Nobody really attacks the onside. Georgia recovers. Now Georgia has a chance. And proceed to go nowhere on the hook and laterals. They go backwards. It was just terrible. As Georgia loses 39-34 to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss advances to take on Miami in a game this Thursday. So that should be very fun. The game is literally a day and a half away. I'm excited. I can't wait. And we move on to the bowl games that we have for Friday. In the first bowl game we got was a blowout, but it was closer than what the final score indicates at first. Texas State beats Rice 41-10 in the Armed Forces Bowl. Now, this game only got close because of Rice turnovers. See Tomo. Shout out my boy Tomo, Bulldogs and the Wrestlers on Bull Family Show. Yeah, for can't curse. Oh yeah, I forgot to talk about that. Oh my God. Yeah, missed a blatant face mask right in front of the refs for Ole Miss. Should have gave him a first down. That was crazy for sure. And then for sure the refs was kind of on BS for Georgia, but Ole Miss was able to prevail. You're absolutely right. I forgot all about that, Tomo. Appreciate you on that one. But Texas State, man. Shout out Patrick Creighton Jr. He tried. It didn't go well. But that Texas State team looks really loaded for next year. You got Bo Jackson coming back. You got Chris Dawn Jr. coming back. Bo Sparks coming back. I think Lincoln Perry is gone. No, I think Lincoln Perry's actually back. So Texas State looks really nice and set up for G.J. Kinney next year. But turnovers by the Rice Owls ended up making this a blowout. The third quarter, Texas State will score 17 points. In the fourth quarter, Texas State will score 14 points. Rice did end with a field goal just to make it from 41-7 to 41-10. But Texas State second half scored 31 points and put the game out of reach. So shout out the Texas State Bobcats for winning the Armed Forces Bowl. We move on to the Liberty Bowl, which Navy, which I picked to win, beat Cincinnati 35-13. Now, I will say an unfortunate pick six late in the ball game made this game 35-13. It was 28-13 with Cincy getting the ball deep in their own territory to attempt to drive to try to make this a one-possession game. But like I said, he throws a pick six immediately, and Navy takes it back for a touchdown. Navy honestly left some points on the board. Eli Heinrich dropped some passes that I very well did not expect. They looked very uncharacteristic, but Navy offense was just getting it done. They do what they do, always running that option. For the most part, being disciplined and taking that clock with them. Cincinnati had struggled at times to find points on the board, and Navy runs away with this game. The Liberty Bowl 35-13. We talk about the Duke's Mayo Bowl. This game got very interesting in the end, and I'll talk about that in a second. But Mississippi State got the ball first. They kick a field goal, and I did pick Mississippi State to win. I'm so mad I did. I was going to pick Wake Forest, but I don't know. And I should have, because the SEC been looking weak in bowl season. But anyway, so Mississippi State gets the ball, kicks a field goal. The very next kickoff, Wake Forest takes it to the crib, get a 2-point conversion, go up 8-3. Then Mississippi State later in the game will score another field goal, make it 8-6. Wake Forest drives down, scores a touchdown, makes it 15-6. So Mississippi State will score field goals. Wake Forest will score touchdowns. Then we fast forward. I want to talk about really the end of this game, to be honest with you. We fast forward throughout the game. And now the score is 20-27. No, it's 27-30, excuse me. Mississippi State cut into a 3-point game. They're kicking off the Wake Forest. Mississippi State gives up a touchdown. Now, mind you, I didn't bet on this game, but I did pick Mississippi State to win. So I wanted them to win. I mean, I want to be right? So anyway, they kick it off. Mississippi State just gives up every opportunity for Wake Forest to go down the field and score. Now I'm like, man, they just blew the game. It was a 3-point game. You just need one stop to get the ball back and potentially win the game, right? So Mississippi State gives up a touchdown at the 27-30. That makes it 36-27. Wake Forest lines up to kick the extra point. It is blocked in return. And I went to go get some water when this happened. So I missed it. But it's blocked in return for 2 points. So now it's a 7-point game. I'm like, all right, cool. So the 10-7, go down there, score. Tied up. Hopefully your defense can get a stop. Ain't really got to stop all day, but maybe, tie ball game, you get rejuvenated, you get confidence. You don't pull a Baltimore. Anyway, sorry, I got to let that out to, get my pain out. But anyway, they go 3-and-out. Now, the reason why I'm upset they go 3-and-out is because I said during this game, you cannot punt this football the way your defense has been playing. But no. Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State punch the ball. They get it to 3rd and 8. They send a blitz. Wake Forest calls the perfect shovel pass to Ty Clark, 60 yards down the field, touchdown, game's over. I mean, God, defense can't get a stop. You know that. You're down 7. Kamario Taylor has been able to make some magic. Why are you punting this football? You deserve to lose at that point, in my opinion. So Jeff Lebby, he started off good. He ends the season 5-8. Just another bad year for Jeff Lebby, and Jeff Lebby might be on a hot seat next season if he cannot get anything done in SEC play next year. Now, I will say future's promising if Kamario Taylor's okay. He did leave the game with an injury. If he's okay, then I think you got something to bank on at Mississippi State with Kamario Taylor. But if he's out, ooh, boy, you better find something quick. But shout out Wake Forest getting it done under Jake Dickert. They well exceeded my expectations. I didn't even expect them to make a bowl game, let alone win one. But again, in this bowl game, do you really win? Like, as the head coach, do you really win? Because if you win, you get mayonnaise dumped on you, which me personally, I'm sorry, I don't give a damn about tradition. It won't be me. But do you really win? And they were giving people mayo jars, and they was taking. I had to look away from the TV. They was no, bro, that's nasty. And I don't despise mayonnaise. Like mayonnaise on a steak and cheese, cool. Mayonnaise on a ham, on a turkey sandwich, I'm with it. But I can't mayo by itself. That is disgusting. But the last bowl game we got to talk about, the Holiday Bowl, in this bowl game was the battle of the shutouts. SMU would go up 24-0 at halftime, shutting out Arizona in the first half. Arizona would score 19 straight points in the second half, shutting out SMU. But a key interception with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter by Noah Fafita ruined an opportunity for Arizona to win the game. SMU would go 3-0 after that, but Arizona was down 24-12. They would score a touchdown with, I think, a minute some change, no timeouts left. And I want to say it was Romello Brunson that recovered it was him or Jordan Hudson recovered the onside kick very easily. And Arizona would lose 19-24. Like I said, just a battle of teams shutting each other out in each half. So shout out SMU. I did pick Arizona to win, winning the Holiday Bowl, and that was the final bowl game of week 3. That's all the bowl games I have to talk about. We're going to do major performances, and then we got some house cleaning stuff, and then we'll be out of here. So I think I got about 17 people in major performances. So let's run through these real quick. The first player I got is OJ Tanuk Hine. Stars. DJ Vonnehume, tight end, Iowa, 7 catches, 146 yards, and a touchdown. Trey Richardson, receiver, Vanderbilt, 6 catches, 127 yards, and a touchdown. Jason Brown, running back, Arizona State, 13 carries, 134 yards. Jalen Moss, receiver, Arizona State, 5 catches, 129 yards, and a touchdown. Nate Shepard, running back, Duke, 22 carries, 170 yards, and a touchdown. Keyshawn Brown, receiver, Duke, 10 catches, 178 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Devin Dampier, quarterback, Utah, 19-31, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, 19 carries, 148 yards, and 3 touchdowns, making it 5 total touchdowns for the quarterback out of Utah. Dalen Bentley, receiver, Utah, 6 catches, 106 yards, and a touchdown. Arch Manning, quarterback, Texas, 21 to 34, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9 carries, 155 yards, and 2 touchdowns, making it 4 total touchdowns for the quarterback out of Texas. Jeremiah Smith, receiver, Ohio State, 7 catches, 157 yards, and a touchdown. We got Brandon Finney Jr., cornerback, Oregon, 6 total tackles, 4 solos, and 2 interceptions. Trey Wallace, receiver, Ole Miss, 9 catches, 156 yards, and a touchdown. Dejon Stribling, receiver, Ole Miss, 7 catches, 122 yards for the receiver out of Ole Miss. Lincoln Perry, running back, Texas State, 11 carries, 106 yards, and a touchdown. And Yamir Knight, receiver, SMU, 7 catches, 104 yards. That has been your week 3 bowl week wrap up for this season. Bowl season was fun yet again. Appreciate all the teams that, accept the invitations. Great year so far. We have 3 more games to end the year. We have the FBS semifinals that start tomorrow and end on Friday. And then we have the championship game that's on the 19th of January. So can't wait for that. Also, the FCS, if you missed my reel, the FCS championship last night was a great game. Illinois State came roaring back, but unfortunately had the game field goal blocked by Montana State, and the extra point in overtime blocked by Montana State, and Montana State would end by 1 point, winning by 1 point, as Taco Dowler on 4th and 10, would score the game-winning touchdown. So shout out Taco Dowler, shout out the Montana State Bobcats, and that was a great win by them. Now, please like, comment, share, subscribe to this channel. It helps my channel, it helps the network. Speaking of at the network, we have shows on the network. We have the main show featuring Joe, Tomo, and Dave. Goes live Tuesdays and Fridays, 7 o'clock to about 8:30ish. We have Unfazed that normally go live on Tuesday. I think they will be going live tomorrow, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central. They're going to be possibly talking about the playoffs. Next, we have BWC Baseball with Teddy. Be on the lookout for Baseball World Classic news and things like that. We have FFC, Fantasy Football with Coach Coombs. Fantasy football seasons are now over, so we're in the off season there. So just be on the lookout whenever he does go live. He went live earlier today. We have RBO, Real Ballers Only, NBA show featuring Vaughn. He went live yesterday. He's been dropping some reels, so make sure you check him out. We have Dave's Doghouse, highlights and lowlights of sport. We have In the Red Corner going live this Sunday. Boxing show featuring Ty, Ricky, and Tomo. All your boxing needs, exclusive, stuff like that. Make sure y'all check out In the Red Corner. And that's all the shows we have on the network. So please like, comment, share, subscribe. Me and Ace, like I said, we will be back Thursday at 5 o'clock to talk about the semifinals. And R2L, I send out the I don't want to say distressing news. I send out the SOS, I guess, for lack of a better term right now. So if you want to hop on the show, just let me know, man. It's 2 games. We got time for people to come on the show, give their opinion. But other than that, I see y'all Thursday. I am gone. Peace.
Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all in the next episode.